Okay, we got a 56 Belair two-door hardtop, purchased about a year ago. Car came from Bakersfield, California.
It was sold new in Bakersfield?
Sold new in Bakersfield, California. Guy I bought it from got this in 1972 from his grandmother. Her grandma is the one who bought the car brand new, and she drove it till 1967 and gave it to the fella I bought it from for his 16th birthday in 1972. He drove it all the way through high school, all the way through college, and it was his getaway car when he got married. He parked it in Napa because he lived in Napa, his family lived in Napa. Parked it at his uncle's barn for 5 or 6 years, and because he moved to Oregon and went back down in the early 80s and brought it home to Oregon and drove it off and on throughout the years, always thinking that he was going to restore it. And he just is getting ready to retire and decided that they didn't want to spend the money on restoring a car because none of his family was interested in having the car continue into their family. And that's how I came about purchasing the car.
Okay. So California car turned Oregon car, so it's definitely always had a really, really nice environment. Never lived in the Rust Belt, never left laying in a field for decades or anything like that.
On this recorder, as you can see right here, the grandmother was in a small collision. That's why this black paint is showing through on this side. He had it repainted in the mid to late 70s. And as you can see, there's some chipping on the car. The front right quarter, or not quarter, but front fender and hood, he got in a wreck and put a new fender and hood on it, and that's when he had it repainted in the late 70s. I do have the original hood for it. Do not have the original fender.
Okay. So yeah, referring to this fender here.
Yes.
And the hood. Those are replaced after a small accident, and he still has the original hood. Yeah, I mean, the car is just extremely presentable yet for an unrestored car. Could definitely see it. Absolutely enjoy it exactly how it looks right now as a survivor car, or just an absolutely amazing foundation for a restoration. If you've ever restored a car, you know you want to start with the nicest car you can to save yourself the headache of intense levels of rust repair, etc. So it's just really, really a beautiful survivor. All right, just taking a look underneath. You guys can see the new fuel tank, and it's all new fuel lines. You see fresh transmission lines.
Transmission was rebuilt in the 80s.
Okay, yeah, transmission rebuilt in the 80s. And the car is just rolled just over a few hundred miles over 100,000. You can see how clean it is underneath, all the outriggers, all of your inner rockers. Super, super nice. All the inner rockers, outriggers, and floor, super clean. Up inside your wheel wells. Driver's side is just super clean. Again, all up inside the wheel tub. Passenger side, you can see just a very small amount of rust in that front fender. And back in here where it's common from the rust out, that's just the like undercoating flaking off there. Doesn't appear to be rusted out. So it's definitely super clean car underneath. Here you can see there's some nice documentation of the car. Dipping back into the 70s. Here's your motor vehicle pollution control from 1973. Lots of other receipts dipping back here into the 90s. 1977, 77, 74. Another one from 74. These are both from 97, or sorry, 77, 75. This one's 1997, 77. This is kind of a timeline that the gentleman provided on the mileage. Here shows where the motor was rebuilt in 77, and the transmission was rebuilt in the 80s. And again, the car is showing just a few hundred miles, over 100,000.
That's what he told me.
Okay. So you can see the upholstery is all original, except the carpet was a replacement J.C. Whitney kit. And ironically, it's probably what needs to be replaced the most at this point. But yeah, all original in here, except the carpet. See the bottoms of the doors. the type of car that could be referenced when restoring a car.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just hasn't been messed with. Headliner is still extremely nice. Take a peek in the trunk. Yeah, wow, that really looks nice.
You're gonna want to get this really well.
Yeah.
That's the big rust out.
Yeah, let's see. Definitely a common place for Tri-5s to rust, and this is super nice.
Really common places in here.
Okay. See under the trunk here. And this lip up here is really nice. Love the hijacker sticker.
Does have the Underbar radio in there. That one make it on.
Okay, the Wonder Bar radio. Got some cool old Sun aftermarket gauges.
Okay, as we're looking at the motor here, it's the original 265 with the 2-speed power glide. That's commonly known as the Iron Glide. It does have an upgraded carburetor, upgraded Unilite distributor, Mallory ignition. We do have the stock air cleaner, the original stock carburetor and stock intake manifold. If somebody was wanting to put the motor back to original.
Okay. So how many miles do you think that you've put on it since you've owned it?
I've probably put 50 or 60 miles on it. Probably more than that, actually, now that I think about it. So I've taken it on a couple of trips out to Coburg. So, you know, let's just say 100 miles at most.
Okay.
You know, it does have a few small leaks. It drives great down the road, drives straight, doesn't wander, doesn't rattle.
All right, why don't we go ahead and fire it up?